Today we celebrate the glorious feast day of Epiphany, where Christ is revealed to all of the nations. Every year on this feast day, I think of a game that I used to play in grade school in our math class. It was a game called 24. And if you remember this, there was a card. It had 4 numbers on it, and you had to use those 4 numbers. You could add, subtract, multiply, or divide, but you had to get the answer of 24. And sometimes there was multiple ways you could formulate the equation to get that right answer. And this is kind of what we're celebrating today, is that we can come about a right answer through 2 different ways. In fact, when it came to how God revealed himself to us and to the world, there's 2 different paths of revelation. The first path is how God revealed himself to his chosen people through faith. So faith is the first way of revelation, how God chose the Jewish people and he came to them and they had a faith. He revealed himself to them through faith. But the rest of the world, God did not reveal himself in the same way. The Jewish people were the chosen people. We could say, how does the rest of the world turn to God? Or how did God reveal himself to the rest of the world? Well, there's a different path. We could say it's actually through science or philosophy, logic or reason. And that might seem funny for some people to hear. We might think, well, how are faith and science compatible? Don't they seem to contradict each other? And our answer to that is absolutely not. Faith and science and faith and reason do not contradict each other because truth cannot contradict truth. If there is a faith truth and a science truth, and they seem to contradict each other, it either means you have bad faith or bad science. One of them has to give. The Catholic Church is not afraid of science or philosophy or reason or logic, but we embrace it. Even Pope John Paul II has a beautiful teaching, a letter he wrote called Fides et Ratio, faith and reason. He says that faith and reason are like the 2 wings of a dove that help us fly to the heights of contemplating truth. We need both faith and reason. And like I said, the church has never been opposed to science. We've always embraced it, even more so than any other religion. And like I said, truth doesn't contradict truth. So a faith truth and a science truth should be in harmony. And that's why we can even believe in things like the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory even was created by a Catholic. His name is Dr. George Lemaitre. However, whenever he was not in the science lab, he went by a different title. Father George Lemaitre, the guy who invented the Big Bang Theory, was a Catholic priest. We are not afraid of science. In fact, today we are saying in many ways and celebrating in many ways the fact that it's through reason, through logic or philosophy or science that the Gentiles come to Christ. Today we celebrate the revelation to the Gentiles, to all of the nations, that God didn't come just for the Jewish people, but God came to reveal himself to all people in all places and all times. And the 3 magi represent really all of us, that God revealed himself to all of us. And this is such a great story. This gospel is so rich and it's mysterious. So let's try to unpack it a little bit and see what was happening with these magi, with these wise men, with these astronomers or kings. There's not much that we know about them. In fact, we know very little. We often say there were 3 kings that came to visit Jesus, or 3 magi, but if you were paying attention, we never heard that number 3 in our gospel reading today. And within the Catholic Church, there's different traditions. Some traditions say there were 12 magi. There's another one that says there were 72. Can you imagine if we sang all 72 verses of We 72 Kings of Orient Are? That would take forever, right? I like the 3 kings. And with these 3 kings, we wonder, well, where are they from? Are they from Persia, as perhaps? It's from the East, and it's known for their philosophy and their schools of wisdom. Maybe were they from Babylon, known for its schools of astronomy? There's a neat theory that somebody came up with. They said, well, maybe it's descendants of Daniel the prophet. If you remember, about 600 years before Jesus was born, the nation of Babylon destroyed the Jewish temple, exiled the Jewish people, made them live in Babylon, and the wisest people from the Jewish people became served in the court of the king of Babylon, these wise men. Perhaps rather than going back to Jerusalem, maybe some of them stayed, some of the descendants of Daniel, and they advised the king, and they told the king of Babylon about this rising of the star that proclaimed the birth of Christ. Who knows? We really don't know. We don't know where they're from. We don't know how many of them there were. But there's interesting and beautiful traditions that we have. One of our traditions is that they came from 3 different continents, one from Asia, one from Africa, one from Europe. Again, it symbolizes that Christ reveals himself to all people of all places. I like another tradition that we have, that one of them was a young man, a middle-aged man, and an old man. Again, that he reveals himself to people of all ages, all times. Christ is meant for everyone. That's really the point of this feast day today, that God did not just choose one people only to reveal himself to, but he reveals himself to all people. He came into the world for all people. So we have the wise men. What about this beautiful, mysterious star that they are following? We really don't know much about this star, other than it really seems to function very different than any other star. If you want to go down a really good rabbit hole, there's a great documentary on YouTube called The Star of Bethlehem. And there's this man, he's a lawyer by trade, but he bought that fancy computer software that projects the night sky. At any point of history, you can look at this computer screen and you can pick any day in history at any time in any place, and it will show you what the night looked like, all of the stars in the heavens. And this man thought, well, I'm going to find the Bethlehem star. So he went back in time to around the year that Jesus was born, and he found some very interesting things that happened in the sky. If this is the Star of Bethlehem, I don't know, but this historically, this happened. The constellation Virgo, Virgin, and the constellation Leo, like the lion of the tribe of Judah, the king of Israel, they merged, and the constellation Leo was in the womb of Virgo. The Virgin has conceived. And as that was happening, the planet Saturn, which represents the Jewish people, the planets, they're wandering stars. They don't have linear paths, but they have retrograde motion. They're always wandering around the space. Well, Saturn comes, and in the hand of Leo, goes up and down, up and down, up and down 3 times, making a scepter for the king of the universe, for Leo. And as that was happening, the planet Jupiter, which is the king planet, comes into the womb of Virgo and goes 3 times back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over the head of Leo, crowning him king of the universe. I mean, is that what the wise men saw? I don't know, but it really proves something, that all of creation sings the glory of God. Whenever we look at the created world, even through a scientific lens, scientists should know this. The created world is glorious and beautiful because it points to the Creator. Creation points to the Creator. Everything in the natural world points to the supernatural origins, to the one who created the natural world. So the wise men, whatever they saw, I don't know. But in their hearts, I know that they believe that all of creation sings and proclaims the glory of God. And somehow that led them to Jesus. And not only did it lead them to Jesus, but it revealed to them who Jesus is. This is amazing. The wise men knew the identity of Jesus. They knew who he was because of the gifts that they brought to him. They brought him gold because they knew that he was a king, the king of the universe. They brought him incense. We've been using a lot of incense at Mass. Isn't it nice? It's just so beautiful. And we're going to use more. Incense is used to worship God. They knew that Jesus was God, that this baby in a manger was God himself. And they brought him myrrh, this oil, this ointment that's used to anoint the body of a corpse, a dead body. They knew that Jesus was king, that he was God. And then remarkably, the God of the universe, the creator of all things, entered into creation and took on our human flesh. He took on a body. And this is why we can rightfully say that we have a theology of the body, that the body has entered theology at the main gate. What a beautiful thing that is, that our God took on a human body. And they knew that he took on a human body that was going to die for us, to save us, to redeem us. That's why they brought him myrrh, because they knew that he was a God who took on our nature, our human nature, and was willing to die to save us, redeem us from our sins, and rise from the dead. This is a remarkable God we have. And the Magi, this was revealed to them. God revealed himself to all of the nations. We have a lot of beautiful traditions around this time, around this Epiphany season. In just a few moments, I'm going to bless the chalk that is up here. This is the do-it-yourself kit. As homeowners, you have the spiritual authority to bless your homes, but also you'll notice in the bulletins where the priest and the deacon, we are coming around to your homes to do house blessings as well. I've already had the joy of doing a few of them, so feel free to sign up if you would like a priest or deacon to come to your house to bless your house. But you do have the spiritual authority to do it, and you can pick up your chalk kit on your way out of Mass today. And the instructions in there will tell you to write the blessing in chalk above your door. You're going to write the year 2026, and then there are 3 letters in between, the CMB, and this stands for 2 different things. At first, it stands for the names of the 3 wise men, the 3 kings, the Magi. Just as they invited Christ to dwell in the world, we invite Christ to dwell in our homes. So that's why we put their names above the door. CMB, Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar. There's a quiz after Mass to see if you can remember that. But Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar. But it also stands for the blessing in Latin, which is Christus Mentionem Benedicta. May Christ bless this home. So every time you see that chalk written above your door, you realize that you have invited Christ to dwell in your home, and he dwells with you in a real way, in a profound way. So that's one of the beautiful traditions we have. Another beautiful tradition we have, in just a moment, after my homily and after the blessing of the chalk, we will proclaim the movable feast days that are for this upcoming year. Some of the feast days that we celebrate aren't set for a specific date, but they change every year, like the feast, of course, of Easter and Pentecost and the Ascension, right? These dates change every year, so we are going to proclaim them to you beautifully. This is prayer. We're not just informing you of the dates, but we're proclaiming to you these dates because they are a great mystery, and we want this mystery to be revealed to you. And also, that means no excuses, right? We all know the holy days of obligation now, right? Because we're going to proclaim them. And one more moment, too. We are going to experience this Feast of Epiphany in a profound way. Again, Epiphany means an unveiling. It's a revealing of a mystery of the God-made man, of the love that this God-made man has for us. And we will experience this Epiphany right here at this altar. God comes down to us. The God of the universe, creator of all things, comes down to us in the appearance of bread and wine and reveals himself to us. And he wants to reign as the king of our heart. He is the God who comes down to us to dwell in us. And he is our brother in our human nature who shed his blood for us to save us and redeem us.